Welcome everyone. This is Sean Bevers, the adult education teacher here at SQUA Adult Education Center. Today we're going to take a quick look at M.E.A.L paragraph writing. Why would we use something like a M.E.A.L paragraph writing format? Number one, it's to make sure that when we write, we're planning, we're using our time efficiently, and we're just including information that we need to include for the project. So following the system helps you stay on track, avoid rambling, and lets you keep your writing right to the point of what needs to be included without any of the extra. Okay, so what is a M.E.A.L paragraph? So M.E.A.L stands for main idea, evidence, analysis, link, and lead out. Now, quite quickly after you get used to this method, you'll find it comes pretty naturally. So at first you might be really like having to plan and think this through. Later, this is going to be something you're going to be able to identify in your writing and others. Now, we're going to go through each point individually, but let's just quickly hit on the main topics here. So M stands for main idea. Main idea is essentially the topic sentence, which is its own mini thesis that tells the reader exactly what they can expect to read in that body paragraph. E, that's evidence. So evidence is the support, the examples that you're going to bring. They're going to prove the point that you're making. A, analysis. This is really where a bulk of our work as writers always comes in, and this is analyzing and explaining the evidence that you've included. And lastly, we have L for link or lead out. This is something we can do to wrap up our paragraph and set us also up for the next one. So we're going to take a moment right now and we're going to go into each in just a little bit more depth and talk about them. So M, main idea. This is the topic sentence that starts your paragraph. So expect most of this to be like just one sentence long. You could go with two, but one sentence is usually enough to set up and explain exactly what's going to be in this body paragraph. Now, a tip, if you're writing the body paragraph and it's part of an essay and there's a thesis to this essay, your topic sentence in some way should be connecting to that thesis. If it's not, it doesn't necessarily mean you can't write this paragraph. It might be adapt your thesis so that way you can bring it in, but there should be some connection. It shouldn't just be a topic off on its own without some clear ability to connect for your reader. E, so evidence. If we're looking at evidence, you want to bring in examples that are the best way to support the argument or the point that you've made in your topic sentence. So typically they're going to be quotes, paraphrases, maybe direct examples. If it's, say, like a question asking something about your own life, you might be quoting like examples that you've experienced. But they should be direct and something that's going to be able to support the argument or the point that you made in your topic sentence. For length, even for quotes, I'd recommend keeping them no more than 2 sentences long. You absolutely, in some situations, you can quote like fairly long snippets. So they might even be like a paragraph in length. However, usually the longer quotes have a problem of distracting the reader or just adding fluff. So let's quickly talk about length. So length for your evidence should not be greater than 2 sentences typically. You are able to quote more. You might even bring in a paragraph, but the situations you do that should be fairly rare. So even at a university level, it is fine to have quotes or examples that are coming in that are like 1 or 2 sentences long because you're helping focus the reader and show them exactly the point that you want to see, and you'll be able to go into greater depth in your analysis. Now, I also just want to remind anybody, if you're doing a project in which you've pulled information from other books, websites, anything like that, if it's quotes that you're bringing in from another source, remember, save those sources so at the end of your paper you can come back, you can make sure that you've got it all cited properly. So as you go through, I always like to just either bookmark and save the websites that I've been on or include them at the bottom of a Word document that I'm working on, so that way they're there and ready to work with right off the bat. All right, so analysis. This is really where the bulk of your mark is going to come from in most English situations. Your analysis is you explaining how the evidence that you've shared connects to your topic sentences, how this evidence matters and how it proves your point. Now, one common mistake, and I know I was definitely guilty of this when I was in high school, was making assumptions of your reader. So sometimes it really does feel like the example that you've included is so clear cut that obviously it's going to make sense to the person reading it, but it's not good to make assumptions. As a teacher, I'm looking to see like your analysis and your connection. And sometimes, even though it can be clear in your mind, it might not make the exact same connections for mine, and I might not understand exactly where this analysis piece comes in. So if you take the time, you assume nothing of your reader, and you walk them through your thinking, you're going to get very good marks, and it's going to make it much clearer to like why that example was included. For your length of analysis, this is usually the longer part of your paragraph writing. So typically it's going to take 3 to 4 sentences to fully explain and unpack the example, piece of evidence, or the thing that you brought in for that to prove your topic sentence. So again, 3 to 4 sentences. So last for our body paragraph is link or lead out. You might use one, you might use the other, or a combination of the two. It really is going to depend on like your paragraph and how you feel about the points you're trying to get across. So for an instance, for link, if your paragraph is part of a thesis, a larger essay, where yes, there is a topic sentence, but there's an overarching argument that this paper is about. If you read through your paragraph, if you're not 100% sure that your reader is going to be able to make that connection between how this paragraph fits with that larger argument, this is when you might want to wrap up with, it's going to be about 1 to 2 sentences, but you're going to try to make that connection to them by wrapping it into the thesis, making some connection there, just making the illustration clear so that way they know it's like, oh, I understand that this paragraph fits into your argument this way. So that's when I would use a link. Lead out, sometimes you're going to read your paragraph and you're going to feel you hit your points really well. They're very clear. It's going to be very easy for your reader to make that connection to the thesis. If this feels like your paragraph that you've written, lead out can be great. So you can quickly wrap up your paragraph if you want in a sentence, and then in another sentence, set up your next paragraph. So I really like lead out in a multi-paragraph essay, especially if I'm doing a really big shift in a new topic. This can be that moment where I can set up that next paragraph for the reader to know that shift's about to happen, and it creates a nice flow in your writing. So again, this is something where personal taste, pick and choose which one works best for you. On the left, you're going to find a quick review of the points that we've just covered. So we've got M, our main idea, E, evidence, A, analysis, and L, either lead out or link. When you're writing an academic English paper, it's not very common to be working with a paragraph where you just have one piece of evidence or an example in it. Often you're working with two. One can sometimes work, but with just one piece of evidence in there, it can make your argument seem a little weak, and it doesn't really give you a chance to show off your understanding, your comprehension. So most of your body paragraphs are going to work with two pieces of evidence. So what does that look like for M.E.A.L? So I have the example up here. So we have still our main idea. We're just working with one topic sentence, so our main idea. And then we go into evidence. So it's going to be, let's say, quote or paraphrasing 1 to 2 sentences long. Then the analysis. So we're looking at 3 to 4 sentences explaining that evidence. And then we're going to repeat. We're going to go right in. We're not doing a new paragraph. We're going to include the next example piece of evidence. And then analyze that. Again, that'll be another 3 to 4 sentences. And then you can link or lead out. When you're working with two pieces of evidence, this is when linking can really matter. So sometimes it might not be clear why those 2 points are in there. Maybe they're completely contradictory and you're comparing and contrasting. This is a moment where that link aspect can be really important, where I'd shift away from lead out. Don't worry about setting up the next paragraph. Take that 1 to 2 sentences to just wrap up for your reader why these 2 examples, why this paragraph helps support your idea. So just to wrap up, so that's an overview of the M.E.A.L writing style format. Now, just a reminder, I found that this system really has worked for me. It's helped a lot of students that I've taught in my English classes, but there are other systems out there. So by all means, take a look at this, try it. If it's not working for you, search some things up online, look for some videos on YouTube, see if there's another format that works for you. They're all in some ways a little bit the same, but really it is just a matter of find something that works for you. because using a system like this will just help you write clearly, get the marks that you deserve, and write in a way that's going to help you get your ideas and show your understanding off. And that's really, from the teacher's perspective, what we're looking for. And if you have this skill, you can carry this in not just in like high school courses, but college or university. It's a skill that'll go with you. And for those of you that use M.E.A.L format, you're going to find when you get better with it and you understand, you can mess around with this order a little bit too. You can change how the formatting works. But in the end, when we look at our writing, it's always going to have these components in it, as that's usually what our complete academic English writing is going to include and look like. Anyway, thanks for joining me. I hope this helps. And if you have any questions, reach out and I'm happy to go over this. And we can even practice some of this writing in the planning for your next essay. Bye for now.